talk a little bit about this film. So yeah, take a drink.
I need to hydrate before this video.
Need to hide your face. Keep the camera.
That was just hurtful.
Hey, we're two fat guys.
And we have just watched more Disney films?
We think? We're pretty sure. Okay.
These ones are questionable.
Here's the thing. It gets hairy with the term associated productions. It's very easy for everyone to go, all right, Mary Poppins is an associated production, right? We all agree?
Clearly, yes.
Song of the South? Oh, you don't want to admit that, Disney? Well, it's still there.
Too bad.
Too bad. It's still there. Once you get sort of beyond Who Framed Roger Rabbit, it becomes very hairy what was associated and what's not. There are competing sources of information on the internet. There are a couple different Wikipedia lists on different pages that list different...
And even then it's like, well, Disney animators did the storyboarding. And we're like, does that count?
Yeah, and some of it's... And then also during this time, because we're in the 90s now, this was when Disney Toon Studios was created. So, just having Disney animators working on it doesn't make it a Disney film. It had to be, okay, work through Disney Animation Studios to be a Disney Animation Studios film. It gets very complicated.
Things that no one really even cares about unless they're trying to do a marathon.
Yeah, it doesn't help. Like, I'm like, I'm sure the Disney website will have it, like the Animation Studios. No, it lists all their canon films, but it does not list anything on the associated productions.
Great.
I think just so they don't have to talk about Song of the South.
So, here's a couple movies we want to talk about that could... qualify for Disney.
Yeah, so since there was conflicting information, like we did some research, we picked out some that we wanted to watch anyways, and then we're like, okay, here's why some people say it's associated, and if it was good enough for us, why we're going. So the first one was 1993, The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Now, how is it associated? It was distributed by Disney. It was worked closely with Disney. It was actually almost a canon film for Disney Animation Studios. They decided the tone was too dark, so they decided to release it under, I believe, Touchstone is the studio which they...
That is their studio. I couldn't remember if that's what they released.
I think that's what they promote. They distributed.
One of their other studios. They have a bunch.
But what they did is they did some traditional animation that actually appears in the film. I believe there's like a background or two that they did some traditional animation on. And they also, I believe, did storyboarding and helped with some story work for this. They helped the development of it. So we're counting it because it's Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
And I really like this film. It's a great, especially because this is right smack in the middle of the Renaissance, and it's a musical like those ones are.
Yes,
it's a Disney style musical. There's
story like
8-9 songs.
Arc wise, it is very reminiscent of.
Yeah, it's a little darker in tone than your average Disney film, but plot structure.
It's about Christmas. What are you talking about? Also, when do you watch this movie?
I watch it.
I vote Thanksgiving.
That's
just split the difference.
All the time. I did sing Oogie Boogie song at the Halloween Sing Out Louise. Because I'm like, all right, I've been waiting a year to do this. I'm doing it now. Because it doesn't feel right for a Christmas.
Well, that makes sense. But as long as you weren't like at the Halloween thing singing, what's this?
Yeah.
Like,
what's this? What's this?
Also, that's not a very good song to just sing at a concert venue.
Yeah.
Without anything. It's just standing there at a microphone. What's this? What's this? Isn't that doing it?
That's true.
It does not play as well in concert.
The songs in it are phenomenal. Danny Elfman.
So good.
Danny Elfman music.
He also did the singing voice of Jack,
He was the singing voice of Jack, yes. Because he did the demos, and I'm not sure at one point they decided to go with him, but they cast an actor to do the talking voice of Jack, specifically because he sounded like Danny Elfman's singing voice. It's actually great. If you get the anniversary soundtrack they put out, there's a bunch of demos. You hear Danny Elfman doing all the voices. So
awesome.
Especially This Is Halloween, he's doing different voices, like I am the one with the tearaway face. I'm like, nice, good job.
I am the one living under your bed.
Yeah, yeah. So it's delightful with Danny Elfman. Character design it's a Tim Burton film too. We say that. So this is another Who Framed Roger Rabbit. There's another sort of marriage of a filmmaker who is accomplished in making films and knows how to make movies, joining up with these Disney animators to make something more, and it's astounding. Tim Burton designed it. I should be very clear because there's a big misconception. Tim Burton did not direct this film. I don't mean to imply that he did. He came up with the story. He wrote the original story that it's based on. He did character designs for it. It is a Henry Selick directed film.
Glad you knew that. I was like, I know it's not Tim Burton, but I couldn't remember the name.
Henry Selick. He's the one who did most of the Tim Burton stop motion stuff you think he did, with the exception of Corpse Bride. So he did this, James the Giant Peach. He did Coraline. Which is amazing.
I want to rewatch James and the Giant Peach. I haven't seen that in years.
Yeah. Which James and the Giant Peach is similar to Night Before Christmas, but as far as I could tell, there was nowhere where Disney did any sort of traditional animation for them, so we did not include it in this marathon. But Night Before Christmas is
It's delightful.
It is delightful, and it's haunting in the best way. It's like a good kind of haunting. Great cast too.
Also, I really like the concept of the Halloween characters who they're not
evil.
They're not. Yeah, they're not evil. Well, Oogie Boogie maybe, but like generally. They're not evil. They're like, this is what we do. Like, we're really good at Halloween.
Yeah, like the mayor doesn't want to hurt people. The mayor isn't like a bad guy.
Haha, it's fun.
Like, like we throw Halloween, and they were all really happy. Like, hey, we had a good Halloween, guys. High fives all around. Let's start planning next year. Yay!
Yeah, only 364 days until next Halloween. The mayor is delightful.
Yes.
I like the mayor a lot.
Yes, I mean, Oogie Boogie's the villain, so he has to be a villain, but it's not like...
It's not great because it shows like he lives in Halloween Town. Like
it shows kid like, hey, these things, they're very scary things that kids should be afraid of, but they humanize them and teach them that they're actually nice people and they're trying to do their best. And so even though they don't understand that like giving kids snakes for Christmas isn't a good idea, like they didn't
do it with good intentions.
They didn't do it like, we're going to scare them. It's like, okay, we give them presents.
Like I would want a snake.
These are presents. So snakes are great. Like, ooh, a bat, awesome.
Yeah. Is it a hat?
And just the concept of a different holiday town is just fantastic. I know he said he's never going to do a sequel or anything, but I would just love to get some concept art from him of all the different towns.
Yeah, that'd be so good.
Mm-hmm.
And even like the forest, just like that scene is gorgeous.
Yes.
Of like all of the doors to the different towns are fantastic.
Yes. And there's some great cinematography in this one, and maybe it's because you have to be so painstaking with every shot you take. It's
Which
really
will
good.
Make you get really good at doing detail stuff.
It's a really good example of every frame of painting, which that internet series. Because you got to think the most iconic one is Jack walking down the hill that uncurls.
Oh, I love that hill.
It's silhouetted against the moon.
Oh, that hill is so cool looking.
But really, all the shots you get someone had to meticulously plot that and just take a picture of it with a camera. So. Literally every frame is like a still photo, like more so than when you're filming with just regular film.
Yeah.
It is just this still photo, so we got to make sure every single shot is this striking and intriguing and well balanced.
And it's slightly different than traditional animation, where that is like that too. But traditional animation, you have the characters separate from the background.
Yeah, and also traditional animation.
I'm doing this, and I'm working on this character. It's kind of a lot of parts coming together to form one. Whereas this, everything has to be done at once for this shot.
Yes.
Which is...
And it doesn't go away to an inker who then goes away into
color. It is an insane amount of work.
Yeah, the way they generally work is there'll be 20 some sets or whatever running at the same time with all these different photographer or whatever animators, I think they call them animators, filming the scenes. And so it's your job to film this 2 minutes of film on this set, and you're responsible for posing and doing every single thought. So it is this person's, that is their part of the thing. It's not like, oh, Ariel looks really good, so I did a good job. It is, this sequence has to look amazing. Like, everything about this shot is me. So there's a lot more personal ownership for the animators, I think. And I've always been...
And the set designer,
I've always been enraptured with stop motion animation. Both as, this a nice high series art, and also just, like Wallace and Gromit shorts.
Yes.
Very entertaining. More so than, claymation, whatever, like that's good. But this is, the nice wireframe, serious modeled stop motion is just great. Fantastic Mr. Fox comes to mind, is a recent one. So Night Before Christmas, I don't know anyone who hasn't seen it. My parents
were... There's always the lucky 10,000 every day to learn something new.
My parents were oddly disdainful of this film. Or my dad was. My mom, I think, was indifferent. It was on when I was in maybe like last time I was with my parents. I was like, oh, this is on, we should watch it. And he's like, oh, I'm watching this crap. I'm like, what? He's like, oh, I know this one. This one with like the Halloween characters stay over Christmas. This is dumb. I'm like, what? What's wrong with you?
I wonder what my grandmother thinks about this movie. She said that Toy Story 3 had dark overtones. So, I wonder how she feels about Nightmare Before Christmas. She probably thinks it's a horror movie.
That's true. It sounds like a horror movie.
It does sound like a horror movie. And if this movie didn't exist, I guarantee another movie with this exact same title would exist.
Black Christmas would be called Nightmare Before Christmas? Yeah, that's fair. Moving on to a slightly lighter tone film is a Goofy movie. Came out the next year in 1994. So this is also right in the thick of the Renaissance. Yeah, I think during the Renaissance we had that, the 6-year run with the 5 amazing movies that started off.
Yeah.
And then also these two were in there.
Jeez.
Yeah, so it's a great time. Goofy movie was a spin-off of a TV series, much like the DuckTales movie was. This one, what we found out is, I believe the Disney Animation Studios did the storyboards for this, and they may have done some character design. They did something that I couldn't find any evidence of the DuckTales movie. And granted, trust me, I wanted to watch the DuckTales movie. I like that movie. But we found some evidence of them working directly on a Goofy movie that we could not find for other ones. So this is the only other one from the 90s we have. Mm-hmm. This is interesting. It's a spin-off of the Goof Troop TV show, but it's like slightly in the future and doesn't really reference the events of that show. Like in a Goof Troop, the Max and Pete are like middle schoolers, like roughly middle school age. And this one, they're like in high school firmly, so they're like older and adolescents. So it's interesting in that regard.
Pauly Shore's in this movie.
Pauly Shore is great in this movie. Pauly Shore is
great in every movie.
That's true. As long as he's supposed to, I have a hard time saying great in every movie. I can't bring myself. I tried to be there with you, buddy. I can't. Good luck on the limb.
Great in the movies that I've seen him in.
To be fair, you and I should not be on a limb together, so it's good that you're out on that limb. I think it just snap right off.
Just be on the limb on the other side of the tree.
That's true. I love the music in this one. Like, it's not as good as... It's not, Tim Rice and Elton John music. It is not Alan Menken. It's not Howard Ashman. But I really enjoy the Powerline songs because I believe his name is Trevor Campbell was the composer for those ones. And he did a hell of a job of making a Prince
fake Prince, Michael Jackson.
Yeah, hybrids. And I was like, yeah, I could see either Prince or Michael Jackson singing these songs and just bringing down the house with them.
Yeah.
Eye to Eye and, Stand Out. That's the opening one. But there's the opening song with Max I thought was good.
Which, side note, look up a group of people made a live-action version of the opening sequence.
Like shot for shot.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
And then if you have time, because it does take a little while, there's a making of a series of videos that they did on that they talk about like what they did for a lot of these complicated shots, and it's insane.
Yeah.
In a great way, because I love seeing people get really passionate about things and then following through and going to insane lengths that they have no right going to.
Yeah, on their low budget, like, I don't know, we shouldn't be doing this. Like,
but
it'd be different if like Disney, like, hey, we paid a bunch of actors and we like shot this one. It's like, no, there's this kid, this guy liked the Goofy movie and like decided, okay, we're gonna make a shot-for-shot remake of this
and spend months of our lives and a lot of our money and time doing this. Like, but it's clearly a passion project, but holy shit, it's good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Goofy, it's we haven't, the exception of last time we saw him was Mickey and the Beanstalk.
Yeah,
we haven't seen our friend Goofy since then because we're not doing shorts or anything. So it's nice to have him, and it's great seeing him deal with a belligerent teenage son.
Yeah, because like it's Goofy. How's Goofy gonna handle this?
Yeah, man, they make you feel for him. Though they do
really trying his best.
They do a really good father-son. Yeah, he's a single parent. They do a really good father-son sort of coming of age story with Goofy as the dad.
It's really funny. Like as a kid, like I was associated with Max, and then now as an adult, even though I don't have a kid, like I work at a science center, so I deal with kids all the time, and so now I see things from Goofy's point of view.
Yeah.
Like, God, this kid is just like, I'm trying to figure
at some point, I'm like, just tell your dad, he'll probably be cool with it. Like, hey, Dad, I got a date with this girl I really like. You're like, oh, okay, that's cool. We'll do something else at home, and then you can have your date, and then we'll do that some other time. Yeah. Like, I don't know what dad wouldn't be cool with that.
Yeah, it's
You're just like, no, I can't, I don't want to go. I don't want to, like, yeah, okay, well, first, you probably don't want to go, but whatever. Like, that's not how you want to pitch to your dad. Like, explain to him.
Communication, people.
It's very frustrating. On the Open Road song is very funny. It sort of harkens back to, it makes you feel less than the Renaissance, more like the...
This movie has a body count, too.
This movie does have a body count. Goofy kills a lot of people.
Like,
by being Goofy.
There's a lot of people that did not survive things that happened to them in this movie. Like,
he runs people off the roads, and they wreck into like scaffolding, and like people are dead.
There's one guy who during the On the Road song is in the back seat of in the trunk of a car, tied up with a cement around his feet.
That's right.
And he's singing, so I mean he's got.
So the kids are like whatever, but as an adult, you watch it like, wait a minute,
that guy's going to die.
Could we? Well, and also the drivers were singing like they're in on this number. Like someone stop them, Goofy. They're murdering that man.
Yeah.
Goofy doesn't care because Goofy murders a lot of people.
No one has been in the trunk of a car tied up with cement block around their ankles and been okay. And been like, thank you guys for giving me a ride to the firehouse. We're going to get this broken off. Real nice. Thanks for strapping me in, too. It would have been horrible if we got in an accident while
yeah, I really want to do
your trunk pops open at the...
It's going to get me on FBI list, but I really want to do a lot of research into this now to see if anyone's ever survived that.
I don't recommend doing research into that.
Clayton recently was doing a lot of research on where nuclear power plants are located in Ohio and where all the uranium enrichment facilities are. He was preparing for the Fallout game.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, but he's like, oh, I just have a lot of Google searches concentrated about this. I'm probably on lists now. I'm like, yes, you definitely are.
I mean, that's what the incognito mode is for, right? And nothing else?
Nothing else. That's why he looks like a spy.
Yep.
So goofy movie. We're on topic, 100%, as we always
Always on topic.
Mm-hmm. This one... I sort of viewed adding this one like, okay, this is representative of a lot of sort of the Disney Toon Studio stuff that was going on at the time. Because the early Disney Toon stuff, like, now we associate it with terrible direct-to-DVD spin-offs. They sort of have very bad quality nowadays and are associated with that. Early on, they actually made, like, DuckTales was a great movie. It was theatrically released. This was theatrically released. They did several others that were theatrical. And even early on, the direct-to-DVD ones weren't terrible. Like, Return to Jafar may have its issues, but the third Aladdin was very good, I thought. Also,
I have no opinion on those yet.
Yeah, the TV animation they were doing at the time was also pretty solid. Like
Hercules, an Aladdin show.
Yeah, there's Aladdin show that's very good. So Disney Toon Studios...
I just remember that there's a Back to the Future series that I've never watched.
Yeah, so Disney Toon Studios, they're seen as the lesser animators, they're the TV animators. So yeah, you know what? This film doesn't have the beauty and detail. It's not the lighting effects of Little Mermaid. It's not the majestic scale of Beauty and the Beast. It's not that level of quality, but that doesn't mean it is not quality. So I highly enjoy both Nightmare Before Christmas and The Goofy Movie.
Absolutely.
And I highly recommend watching both of them because I think more people need to think of Eye to Eye when they think of great Disney songs. Other than that, that's all I have on these for now. Feel free to look up yourself. If you don't believe us how difficult it is to find out what an associate production is, do a little research. If you can give up solid arguments why other things are, go ahead and tell us. Also, I'll warn you, Rocketeer is a red herring. Someone put Rocketeer on a list years ago, and turns out not at all. Not in any way.
Maybe a bit, though? Maybe...
No.
I just want to watch Rocketeer.
We'll watch it in our superheroes not based on comics marathon.
Great. Blank Man.
Oh.
It's going to be in that.
I'm going to hijack this one. So did you look? You saw that list of the posters I put to you all, the sequels that don't exist posters?
Yes.
The Rocketeer one.
Yo, Crimson Skies?
Yeah.
Yeah. That looks great.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Spaceballs 3, The Search for Spaceballs 2.
There's an art exhibit in LA. Do you know the story about this?
No.
Those are all preview photos. There's an art exhibit in LA of these artists doing posters for movie sequels that don't exist yet.
Well, that's amazing.
So yeah, unfortunately I don't live in LA, so I can't really go and see that. But yeah, I think it's going on right now.
If you're in LA, check it out.
So if you're in LA, you probably missed it because we're probably going to get these up for a little while. But whatever.
Yeah, it's going to take a while.
Other than that, though, that's the 90s Associated Productions. I'm not sure about that, but I'm definitely sure that we are two fat guys.
And sorry for wasting your time. Man, I want to go see that art exhibit.
I know, it's so frustrating. I'm glad they just put that many, because I thought, it's some preview ones. Like, God, it's going to be like 2, and it's just going to frustrate me. I was like, okay, it's actually like 10 or whatever.
I love movie posters.
I'm a sucker for movie posters, yeah.